Why go all the way to Chicago?
I believe that America tends to be, one of the first people to adopt things and to do things properly, and I wanted to see what the general buzz around telematics is really, and about what the plans are for the main telematics companies. Progressive is a massive American company, the biggest car insurance company, and they tried to pioneer telematics about 10 years ago, and they sort of failed, and they've been revisiting it, and I want to see what their plans are really, and I want to see what the industry thinks about it and how they plan to introduce it into everyday lives in England and around the world.
It's such an enormous field, though, isn't it? I mean, you want to just describe the 3 or 4 main areas which you want to look at. Starting with, clearly this is an insurance conference, isn't it? But are they covering, or do they look at any other aspect of it?
I think they're going to look at the commercial fleet side of things at the conference, but this one's mainly for insurance, and it's mainly about how car insurance companies can get their products, how they can sell it to the public, and how they can use the data that they then get. And those are the 3 main parts of this conference. I think is how they can basically pitch this product to the customer and get them to adopt it, and then how they can use the data that they get to fairly assign people's car insurance policies from it. That is about the scope of this conference, I think.
I noticed in the conference programme that there's some technical discussions around things like patents and that. What do you think is going on there?
Well, basically, I think they're trying to, Progressive and some of the bigger companies that are coming into the market first are trying to patent things, how they use the data and so forth, and how they sell things. So they're, for example, they will have a set algorithm that determines what people's insurance, how it's calculated and so forth, and that could be based on how often they drive, how fast they drive, and each one will have their own individual set of rules for that. And I think they're trying to come into the market and stop other people from, directly copying, what they're going to be, how they're going to be using that data.
So that's something of immediate importance to the European market, do you think?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Because that will set the trend.
Yeah.
What about issues of privacy, confidentiality? Is that an issue which is likely to crop up?
That's one of the biggest issues that's going to crop up, I think, and I think from all the surveys that have happened, it's the biggest concerns that customers have are the privacy issues. I think in a recent survey, 50% of them cited privacy as the reason that they would be sceptical about a telematics policy, and I think this conference will hopefully be telling insurers how to gear their products to get around that, and how to convince the customer that it's safe to share their details, and to give better guidelines on how the privacy will be used.
Now, who goes along to this sort of thing? Are they mainly insurance providers, or who's going along to it?
It's basically, I think it's the breakdown is mainly insurance providers, but then there's also car manufacturers, who are going to be looking to see how that can be adopted, and sort of the people who actually make the devices and so forth, the telematics companies as well. So I think it's the breakdown is insurers, telematics companies, and actual car manufacturers who are looking to build these things into the cars at source. And then, they're the main sort of 3 types.
How will the website learn from you about what's happened in Chicago?
Well, given that it's it's going to be a lot of things going on, it's going to be a massive undertaking to try and take out every key part of it. What I'm going to try and do is to take a summary of things that I feel I could find from from attending the different conferences, and and try and pick out the best bits for what we're able to. But as I say, we're just going to do our best to outline this in 2 podcasts a day, and if you tune into the website, you'll be able to see what we find. But I'm not going to underestimate the how big a challenge that's going to be. But hopefully, I'll be able to get something coherent together.